So being a photographer for me has always been about telling a story. What a particular story means, capturing a particular moment, having that perfect photo. And photography stems back for me many, many years ago. When I was a teenager, when I used to make stop motion animation videos, and I absolutely loved it. I used to be a big collector of Lego, and I would collect Lego, and I would grab my little flip phone at the time that I had, and I'd take a photo, move it, take a photo, move it, and that was what I didn't realize at the time was actually stop motion. And I started that at an early age of 14. And then I'd go through a period of my life where I would be kind of going back and forth between it. And then eventually, when I hit about 20, 21 years old, I delved into proper photography and videography, and the rest is kind of history. I absolutely fell in love with the whole process. I got really good grades. I got actually high distinction in photography in college. It's the best I've done in anything actually when it comes to kind of my results, because I was never really interested in much things, but when I kind of fell into photography and videography, that all changed. I absolutely fell in love with the process. Since graduating from college, doing that degree, I went on to do film school as well, and I ended up studying, directing, cinematography, and filmmaking, which I really enjoyed. But then I realized that I really enjoyed being behind the camera more than just kind of directing the visuals, and so I kind of delved into cinematography. And cinematography and photography kind of go hand in hand when you think about it. There's a moving picture and then there's a still picture, but you're doing the same thing pretty much. One's just a moving motion, and the other one's just capturing motion. So for me, I loved both of them. And then I realized at the time when I got to about the second term of film school that I really wanted to be a cinematographer. But what ended up happening was I finished and graduated in directing, producing, and screenwriting, and then I would gradually grow into cinematography more once I left film school. And so the process was when I left film school, I started becoming a freelancer, started getting freelance work and kind of experiencing what it is to be, a filmmaker and freelance photographer. My early days were more videography kind of centric, but as I moved on, I realized that photography was more sort of my passion. Even though I do both now as a hybrid shooter, I think photography will always become first for me. There's something about photography that I just hold really dear. But I mean, ever since now, I do love, doing vlogs and travel videos and stuff like that. But photography definitely has a special place for me, and I really love it. I definitely really love it. I mean, if I look sort of back at my roots, where I kind of originated, like where photography would have came from, it probably would have been my mother. My mother, when I was young, used to take photos all the time when we went, to the Easter show, or Teddy Bear's Picnic in all these different areas. She would always take all these photos, and you'd look back and there'd be all these beautiful albums and of photos and stuff of us as kids. And I think that's sort of where my passion and love for photography grew. It would have definitely came from my mother, um, and I really appreciate that. Like, because I used to think like maybe I'm the only kind of creative in the family, and but then you look back and then you realize my mum was kind of leading that way in the sense of using those disposable film cameras back in the day. We're talking more than a decade ago, taking photos and capturing these beautiful moments that will now live with us forever. And then as I grew older and my passion came for photography, I kind of reflected back to that period where I would look back at my old albums and photos and realize, hey, like this is something I could do. And not just for me and my family, but for other people and their families as well. So then I kind of delved into, weddings and portraits and family photos and corporates, so doing people's headshots. And then, you look back when I was like 19 years old and I kind of gave that attempt at, becoming an actor, which terribly failed. I'll just tell you the rundown of the story briefly. I went to an audition in the city, and they had asked me it was for a zombie role, and they wanted me to play a zombie pretending to eat a girl, and I have to make these groaning sounds on the floor. So she's dead and I'm eating her brains or whatever like that, and I have to make these incredible sounds like I was doing these crazy sounds. And I remember being traumatized after that. I was like, is this what acting is like? I never want to be an actor. So that happened, and it was a really terrible experience. I did it in front of 3 people. There was the director, the producer, and the casting director that were there. And yeah, it honestly left me with a really bad experience. So after that, I said, look, I don't think acting's for me. But I remember getting a headshot, paying about $110, and then you fast track down about 4 or 5 years, and now I'm shooting other people's headshots and providing them with headshots. So it's funny how the world works sometimes. So yeah, really cool, really cool. I think if it wasn't for photography, I don't really know where I would be. I did try my hand at a lot of other things. I try to get into construction. I try to be a chef. I did security for a while. I even, got my certificate of registration to be a real estate agent, but none of them really appealed to me, to be honest. I've always had kind of like a creative flow. My imagination has always been out there, and I'm always thinking of ideas, and there's all these kind of stories that I want to tell, and I was never able to really tell them with those jobs. I mean, they'd be in my head, but I'd want to put them out on paper. I'd want to visualize them. I'd want to see them, and I'd want to share it with the world. And that's where, photography and videography really resonated with me, and it's kind of why I chose this particular path, and now absolutely love every minute of it. And I have absolutely no regrets. Like, it's the only thing I want to do. It's the only thing I know really well how to do, and I can see myself doing this for the rest of my life. There's so many more stories I want to document through photography. There's a lot of documentaries I would love to do in the cinematography world. There's so much inside that I want to share with the world, and I want to inspire. That's sort of my goal. I aspire to inspire, till I expire. It's a quote I heard, and I really love it, and it really resonates with me, because there's a lot of people that kind of really motivated me and kind of pushed me to where I am today. And because of them, I now feel I have that potential to be the best me possible. And if I can provide some value to you guys, where you guys can have that same ability and motivation with what I had, then I'd love to share that with you guys as well. So yeah, photography and cinematography now have become everything to me. They really resonate with me. Like, I have like a craving, like I need to create. And I actually now stress out if I'm not creating content. And there are periods where I'm just too exhausted. I'm burned out, or I don't want to. But deep down, no matter what, in my heart, it's always beating for something to create, but everyone needs that rest period as well. I guess the last piece of advice I'll kind of leave with you guys is that if there is a burning desire for you guys to do something that you really want to do, my best suggestion, my best advice is go out there and do it. Failure is inevitable, and I encourage failure, because you only really learn and grow through failure. If you're not failing, you are failing by default in life. The only way to succeed is through failure. That's the only thing I can really leave you guys with. If you have a burning desire, chase it. Go after it. That's your intuition. That's your passion. And you can never escape your passion. Chase it. Chase it until you get there. And if you can't do it right now for whatever reason, whether it's financial, personal, mental, whatever it is, just remember, whatever you're doing that you really hate, where you're miserable, remember one thing, and this is what I've always said to myself. Remind yourself that that's temporary, and that you're only doing that to reach to the level where you need to be in order for you to do your passion. This is helping you. This is a chapter that's helping you get to the level you need to be one day. Always remind yourself that. Whatever you're doing that you hate, that's really miserable, that you're not enjoying, it's temporary and that will pass. But it will also bring you closer to your goal, to your passion, that fire that's burning deep within you. I hope you found something useful from this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. I really enjoyed making this. I just wanted to bring something back and kind of go back to my roots of what brought me to photography. So if you guys have any advice, anything you'd like to say, leave it in the comments. Tell me a little bit about your story if you got anything to share. And I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll see you guys on the next one. See you later.